save while you build? Now you can at Builder's Paradise. Yes, shoppers, build up your Value Club points at Builder's Paradise. That's right, Value Club members and shoppers, your favorite frequent buyer club is now available at the home of hardware and more. Whether you're laying tiles, painting walls, replacing doors, upgrading windows, or fixing up your home, every purchase at Builder's Paradise now earns you Value Club points. Enjoy exclusive benefits like discounts on thousands of items, special savings for seniors, instant deals, quarterly rebates, plus an extra up to 2% off every quarter. Shop more, save more, and more only at Builder's Paradise. Don't miss out. Start building your rewards today with Value Club at Builder's Paradise, because every bolt, board, and brush brings you closer to bigger, better savings. Terms and conditions apply.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Talk That Get Results. I'm Reverend Webbo Herbert, and as per usual, we are here every Tuesday evening with, at least we think, something is of community interest and or of some concern. And if you think that you have something which fits into that category, you'd like to find out how you can be a part of the program, well, why don't you drop us a line? Address it to Let's Talk Program in care of Vaughan Radio, P.O. Box 195, Charlestown in Nevis. Or give us a call. Our numbers are 1-869-469-1616 and or 1700. Here's a suggestion. You have a question or a comment, perhaps you can get a pencil, piece of paper, write it down so that you're well organized, and when you're getting on the show, you take as little time as possible so that we can accommodate as many of you as we can. We ask only, first of all, you respect yourselves and then respect others, because we will not accept anything we deem that's not within our broadcast standards. But we encourage you to always be forceful with your point. Thank you all again for joining us. This is your voice in the community, Thought That Get Results. By the way, you can also follow our live video stream of this program on our YouTube channel at Vaughan Radio. Click subscribe on our Facebook channel on click Vaughan Radio as well. Now, tonight we have two segments of the program. The first segment, you don't have to be sick to get this information. On the other hand, you get this information and perhaps, just perhaps, it may cause you not getting sick. Some health matters we have to take care of, right? So call your friends if you think that they might have been missing us this evening. And all health, the second segment as well, we'll be talking health matters as well, different sort of health matters. This evening, Mr. Charles McWilliams, it's good to have you. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Why don't you tell us what organization you're attached to, what you do, and all that. And having done that, you have some of your folks with you, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you have Akeisha, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you have Chris, right?
Is here.
Okay, so having spoken to you, let us know who you are, what you do, and then we'll speak with Akeisha and Chris. So, good evening. Is your first time being here?
No, it's not my first time.
Okay, good.
It's
So,
my third time.
your third time?
Yes.
Okay. Looking forward to your fourth and fifth and sixth and so on. Okay, so it's good to have you. So, why don't you go ahead?
Well, I'm Dr. Charles McWilliams, and I'm a naturopathic physician, and I've been here on Nevis for 35 years and have a clinic up in Newcastle. And in addition, I'm with the Sacred Medical Order, the Knights of Hope, which I have been with this particular organization for 25 years. And as a result of that, I get to travel around the world, meet very interesting people, and in addition, learn new things from other doctors in other portions of the world and bring that back to Nevis and benefit my patients with it.
Okay, now, naturopathic physician, not all in the audience, including myself, can say what specific part of the health aspect that is. So why don't you let us know?
Well, it's called naturopathy, but we firmly believe that it's actually monastic medicine, which was, of course, practiced in Europe for many centuries. And as the monasteries closed, certain physicians went into the field outside of the church and started practicing in the countryside. And they continued this practice, what we call today natural medicine. Of course, back then, that's really all they had anyway. And that morphed in by a transplantation from the settlers from Europe that were coming to the United States, and of course the Caribbean as well, and South America. They brought monastic medicine with them, and ultimately it was branded in early 1900 as naturopathy, which we've kind of had to live with, but we say all along basically we're monastic physicians and believe very much in the tenets of the Bible and the natural ways and means of letting people heal. So that's where we are today with naturopathy, as it's called.
So that's what I was looking for, the natural medicine.
Yes.
Right.
Also called nature cure.
You've been doing that for, you said, 35 plus years?
Yes, basically all my life, since I got out of high school.
Okay. Let's go to Akeisha, and tell us a little bit about you, Akeisha, and what you do, and then Chris, and then we will get into the full discussion, because I'm getting interested and intrigued already in this, in this area of health. So I'm eager to get into the full discussion, hear what you have to offer. So Akeisha, good evening. Thanks for being here.
Good evening. I am a medical student and a clinic assistant. I started off as one of his patients with acne. My face looked really, really, really bad. And he gave me some teas to drink about 2 to 3 times a day. Then I went home, I started drinking them and noticing that my face is clearing up. That is after 2 to 3 weeks or so. So then I got excited and I started to do my own research. And I realized that this is something that I want to work on, going towards this is one of my goals that I want to achieve in life. I want to be able to do things that are not causing my body harm, and understanding the herbal value of certain things when it's entered into the body. I am also a farmer. I have a smoothie business. It's KL Blends, and I'm happy to be here.
And Chris, good evening. It's good to have you.
Good evening. Thank you. Well, as I said, my name is Christopher Broadbelt, and I am a medical student and a clinical assistant at Jade Medical Clinic, working closely with Dr. Charles and Akeisha. I specialize in conducting live blood analysis at the clinic, which allows us to see what's really happening in the blood at a cellular level. It's an incredible tool that helps us identify micro parasites in an early stage. I first started with Jade from actually going out there to sell one of my products. I do natural supplements, and I met Dr. Charles through Sylvia, and they invited me to come one Saturday to just see what it's all about, because I had no idea that this kind of clinic existed on Nevis. It was something that I was always into. I never really trusted, quote unquote, the doctors and the prescription drugs and all of that. So I normally steered away from that and more to the natural aspect of healing. And then Saturday I came there, I met Dr. Charles, and the rest is history. He showed me the process, he showed me everything that they're doing, what they want to accomplish at the clinic, all the natural herbs that they use to heal people, and then I was like, I want to learn everything. I was like a little kid in a playground, basically.
Yeah, okay. Akeisha, why don't you give us a little more from you into how you got involved in it as well, and what you do, and whether or not you think that you like to go further into it. Because we've heard Dr. McWilliams, he's done 35 years. You're not even close to 35 of life as yet. But how interesting it is to you, you know, to see whether or not you can, maybe when I have an ailment, call you and you take care of it.
I am very much interested to, quote unquote, carry on the legacy. I have learned so much. I've only been there for 2 years, but as I mentioned earlier, I was a patient, I got healed, and I also work under the microscopy to check certain things in the blood, any irregularities of the bloodstream. Dr. Charles McWilliams, he has so much up his sleeve. It's a lot to learn, but the exciting part of it is you know that you're putting yourself in a healthy condition once you follow what he has taught you. And many of us are in a sub-health condition, a sub-health stage in our life. And I want to be able to treat, heal, maybe cure certain illnesses and get patients back to their nutritional status in which they was when they were younger. Because many of us break that by bad eating habits, stress levels, and the list goes on and on and on. So I am dedicated, I am disciplined to take up the mantle.
Very good. The stress levels, you hear people talking about that. Almost sometimes people use it even loosely, in my opinion. But stress really can make you sick, correct?
Yes. Very easily makes people sick.
And how is that so? Because stress is a thing that you wouldn't see as like if you get a sprained ankle and you see a swelling and stuff like that. It is to do with the brain, right?
Yes.
And the mind, if you will. So tell us a little bit about that, how it affects people, and how you can treat it.
Well, I think quite simply, just take sleeplessness, insomnia, for example. The outcome of stress in our daily lives typically leads to poor, irregular sleep patterns. And when you don't get restful sleep, you don't produce growth hormone, which is a repair hormone in the body. Your body doesn't fully relax. Certain healing factors, like melatonin and other hormones that are in the body, become unset, so to speak, and imbalance. And day after day, as that drives on, that puts stress on your muscles. Your shoulders get tight. You start to get mild to severe headaches. Your blood pressure goes up. All these factors start accumulating just from what we call stress. But basically, the outcome is the nervous strain that's imparted to the body disrupts the glandular system, it disrupts the circulation, and it disrupts the digestion. And that creates another state where you start to literally auto-intoxicate. You become constipated, Your bowels don't move regularly. Your desire for thirst is not as abundant as it should be, so you don't drink regular amounts of water. Your body doesn't detoxify. It's a complete cascade of problems just from stress alone.
And I would imagine that the origin of stress has different, how should I put it? You can get stress from different things.
Yes, it can be self-generated or it can be societally imposed. So it can be internal or external or a combination of both.
Give us an example. A person, you had mentioned a little earlier that one of the issues a person can have is not enough sleep, or not being able to sleep as well as they should.
Mm-hmm.
So give us either hypothetical or a real situation that can happen or may have happened.
Well, we could just take a normally healthy young adult who finds himself with a new child, puts an economic strain on the household. Child has behavior problems perhaps, or there's difficulty with the marriage with this new person in the household, and that starts a level of stress. It's both internal and external because of combined economic factors that come into play and all the normal things of daily life in today's very complicated world. We can basically stay, with any patient that walks in the door, it's basically stress until proven otherwise. We don't find very many people that are completely calm and relaxed unless, of course, they're fully retired from life and they're just enjoying themselves, and they have been relieved of all of that. But as a result of that too, because of the age, the stress factors were probably there. They probably have some residual hypertension, some diabetes, they've gained weight, all sorts of things come into play.
So it's fair to say that everybody has some level or degree of stress?
Yes, in today's world, I don't think it's escapable.
Mm-hmm.
And we could even add stress in a new specter of life that has not been with man or nature, and that's microwave radiation coming off Wi-Fi and cell phones. That is a level of stress that nobody can avoid these days.
We use the term level of stress. How do we know, A, what level of stress a person may have, and B, how do we know when it is higher a good enough description? How will we know when a person's stress level is too high and it needs attention?
Well, there's simple measures. One is the blood pressure. That's very obvious. The blood pressure starts to raise. Another simple thing is, can you bend over and touch your own toes? Because when a person goes into a state of chronic stress, they get a condition called bracing. Their back muscles become rigid, they become tight, their shoulders become stiff, they start to get neck aches, they feel not so well themselves, and this travels all the way down the back through the paraspinal muscles from the spine and down the back of the legs. So you can simply ask someone to bend over. If they can't touch their toes, they're under some form of stress.
Oh, really? You mean bend over and touch your toes without bending your knees?
Without bending your knees.
Oh, okay, because, I was going to get pretty smart with you. And
That's an old test in psychology called bracing. How many inches from the floor can you reach before you start getting tension and pain in your back or the back of your leg?
Oh, really? Let's see.
So, if it's 5 inches or more, then that's stress has become accumulated.
Would you believe I was able to do it?
I do believe that. You look very well.
Oh, well, thank you. So that's one thing we just learned. If you bend over without bending your knees, be able to touch your toes, depending on how close you can get, can give you a little idea of your measurement of stress.
A little idea of your measurement of stress, both muscular and neurological.
Oh, well, that's very good. That's it's been worth having you here already. Just learned that and didn't have to pay. Give us another example, because you just mentioned also that if you squeeze the shoulders and
Yes.
down it, yes. How about that?
Yes, the trapezius muscle is notoriously one of the stress accumulating muscles in the body. And that's as simple as pushing on the top of the shoulder, and if it gives you some type of pain or radiating pain, that's pretty self-evident. Another place where people accumulate a lot of stress, which they're not aware of, is in the jaw.
Oh, really?
There's a little tiny muscle in the, you have the masseters and then a little tiny muscle inside the mouth called the pterygoid.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a stiff jaw, and you even get to the point where you're grinding your teeth at night when you sleep, which is called bruxism. So a stiff jaw and a clicking in the jaw and those types of situations, another stress indicator. Another one is frontal headache, which is commonly called in old school medicine, it's called tension headache. So when people start getting frontal headaches at the front of the head, they want to take an aspirin or a Tylenol. They have reached a stage of accumulative stress.
And so those are some signs and so on. Now, if a person is listening and they have maybe on occasions or even currently one or more of those signs or symptoms, these are things that you can treat, right?
Yes, of course. Very easily. It's a prominent sign that if you haven't had a medical checkup in some time, might be a good idea to get your blood pressure taken, get your sugar level checked, your cholesterol, these kinds of things, because if the stress is prolonged more than 6 months or 1 year, that will start to reflect in values in physical signs that the body is reaching a stage of breakdown.
And is exercise one of the recommendations to get the muscles and so on relaxed and stuff like that?
Absolutely. Exposure to sunshine, fresh air, drinking more water, simple measures, taking a walk, parking your car away from your place of business and having a little nice walk in the morning, to and fro, back and forth from a sedentary job or sitting at a desk for too long of a time.
How much is your philosophy of life? How much does that have to do with it? And when I say philosophy of life, the way you see things, the way you think about it and stuff like that. How much of that has?
Well, in today's world, the glass can be half full or half empty.
Right.
And both sides of the glass still have the stress. So the one that has the half empty glass probably has more stress than the one that sees that the glass is half full. Because the person with the glass half full, when you give them some suggestions for corrective measures, they probably will do it. Whereas the one with the glass that's half empty will probably be a bit resistant or get distracted from doing normal recommendations. We would say, like, drink 5 or 6 glasses of water a day, take a multivitamin tablet, drink some herbal tea to relax, maybe get off the coffee you're drinking every day, maybe reduce your alcohol intake, change your diet, start eating more fruits and vegetables, those sorts of normal things.
Put simply, a positive attitude can help.
Very much so.
Okay, Chris, you wanted to jump in here. We want to hear from you. You Chris and Akeisha a lot. You know why? Because you're pretty young, and your peers who hear you, they can relate to what you say, much more. So they not only in your own experiences, but also working along, in here, what certain things that you have learned and picked up, and you perhaps will be surprised to know that coming from you, it can make a difference, because when you for instance, if you were to say to one of your peers, well, I had a situation, a time when I couldn't bend over and touch my toes easily, and they're thinking, but I thought that was for old people who couldn't do that. But so we would like to hear from you more, what you've learned, some of your experiences.
Well, as Doc was saying, I mean, a positive mindset is where it really starts. I mean, if you find that you're stressed out, and we've had patients that come and we recommend certain things to them, as Doc said, and a week later they come back in looking like a brand new person. Basically, from having that positive mindset, having that, okay, he told me to do this, he said it's gonna work, and I believe it's gonna work, and they go out, they drink their water, they start eating their fruits, they put down the bread, which is one of the main problems right now. They put down the bread, they start eating more fruits, as I said, and they take the herbal teas and they stick into their regimen, and they see the improvement within a week.
And what about you, Akeisha? What experiences have you had? So, certain things that you have noticed, even with younger folks.
What I have noticed is that there is a good chance, about 95% of our body have cellular contamination. We intake things that the body cannot digest, and it doesn't add to building the cell nor our health, and that causes a debris around the cell, and it doesn't remove. Make it worse, we're eating a lot of processed foods that is not good. Then the body starts to produce a type of bacteria which is bad, and here we go, we are constantly eating the processed foods. Then here comes an overgrowth of bacteria, parasites, yeast, fungus in the stomach, and then it spills over into the blood, which I mentioned before. That is where we see them under the microscopy. I find that to be very amazing to see these things, but we're not supposed to see them, because if we see them, that means that you need to detox. And those micro parasites that I mentioned, it causes a lot of problems. Persons are coming in with constipation, belly aches, skin problems, and that all stems from what we eat, the hygiene of things, and just sometimes regular day-to-day stress of life.
And that affects young people as well, right?
Yes.
The diet, though, you find that as a society, we're not very conscious of that in terms of what we eat.
No, they're not very conscious of it. The grocery store has made these a variety of foods so easily accessible, and has been around for so long now. It seems like second nature that when you eat bread, you don't eat bread. You eat bread with toast and jam, or you eat bread with peanut butter and jelly, or you eat bread with, you know, this whole ambiance of Western culture has made this extreme variety of different foods seem like a natural thing, when in fact it's only been with civilization for the last 50 to 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not natural.
A lot of this stuff we eat though, for health wise, are not necessary, right? Once what I'm getting at is, once you eat the basic protein and necessary stuff and so on, a lot of the fancy stuff don't add much value. I think Akeisha was making that point earlier, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct. Yes. There's a lot of unneeded or unwanted things in foods. We all know about preservatives and food colorings and things like that, but one of the really undiscovered, untalked about things is, for example, mycotoxins, which are fungal poisons, which gets into the grain very easily, gets processed with food and flour and bread, and these are extremely very small quantities of very insidious compounds. It's a growing field in medicine now, where they're believing that one of the main triggers of cancer, for example, is the lifelong accumulation of these mycotoxins getting into the cellular system and disrupting DNA and causing cancer. So there's just a lot of poisons in the environment, and the fact of the matter is, the simpler the diet, the cleaner it is, the healthier it is.
Chris, you earlier were mentioning something about drawing blood and maybe doing the analysis and stuff like that, and then so you do that, you draw some blood and then do some analysis, and then what are you looking for when you do that?
Well, basically, we take three small sample drops, and put it on a slide. Look at it under the microscope, and we are looking for everything in the blood. Because just by looking at your blood under the microscope, we are seeing the parasites, we are seeing bacteria, we are seeing viruses, we are seeing if your cells are healthy. We are seeing if your cell is healthy we are seeing if your cells are deficient in vitamin B. We are looking for worms, because in a culture where we tend to eat a lot of pork, we find that we see a lot of worms in your blood, actual small worms. Now, in a case like that, when we see worms, when we see a large number of parasites, then we will prescribe some herbs that will actually clean those from your blood through herbal teas, and also we have some natural tablets that can also get those out as well.
And when you do that analysis, you obviously match it to what the norm should be.
Yes.
And you said, for instance, when a person, we can tell if they're deficient in, let's say, vitamin B. Okay, what would that suggest? If a person is deficient in vitamin B, what symptoms, if any, they may be having?
Well, if they're feeling fatigued, after maybe just a half a day of doing work, they don't sleep as well, they're having insomnia even though they're feeling fatigued, and then this is also linked to the stomach. So if you're not passing regularly, if you're not getting up every day and passing, then we know that, okay, that something is definitely wrong in that area.
Also, you can see it in maybe your nerve endings.
Yes. So also we have a B shot at the Jade Medical Center that you can take, and the doc has also come up with this amazing B17. It was a B17 capsule, that you can take, and it's gonna have you feeling like Superman.
Okay. And what other, Doc, what other deficiency in vitamin we can have, and what symptom might it reveal itself in?
Well, in natural medicine, we teach a basic philosophy, A, B, C, D, and E. So in vitamin A, the minimum daily requirement is 5,000 units for an adult. And if you look at just the color of the food that most people eat, which the color that most people eat is obviously white bread, white rice, white this, white that, they're deficient in vitamin A until proven otherwise, because they're not getting enough grains, they're not getting enough fruit, they're not getting enough vegetables of different varieties of colors, which confers carotenoids or provitamin A to the system. In terms of B vitamins, we have a whole group of B vitamins called heat liable, which means they're destroyed by cooking. So these are the very common B vitamin deficiencies most people in general will have. There's scarcely anyone that walks in the door that's got symptoms that are not part of the B vitamin deficiencies, whether their cholesterol is high, whether they're sleepless, whether they have nerve pain, whether they have whatever the complaint is, there's always a B vitamin deficiency at suspicion. We can go on with vitamin C. Nobody gets enough vitamin C. That's been genetically proven. It's well understood. There's books been written about it. And of course, vitamin C is also heat liable. It's also room temperature liable. It can oxidize easy in food. And we do not have the genetic capacity to make vitamin C in our own livers like most animals do. So genetically, we are deficient. We're born deficient in vitamin C. And then vitamin D, that's the sunshine vitamin. Most people don't get enough vitamin D. That determines their sleep patterns, that determines their blood pressure. Anything to do with calcium in the body, it just goes on and on. And vitamin E, that's another vitamin that's heat liable, gets cooked up in food, gets cooked up when you warm something or leave it out for a long time, and there you have it. So basically A, B, C, D, and E, everybody walks in the door has got some deficiency somewhere in that group.
When a person does a normal, as you had mentioned, a normal checkup, some persons do it at least once per year.
Yes.
And they do basically blood work. That's what people say. You're doing some blood work. You're checking for your cholesterol and stuff like that.
Yes.
Is it necessary for one to go to the doctor, for instance, and check the vitamin levels, or that will naturally come out when you do quote-unquote blood work?
Well, there's direct and there's indirect. I mean, obviously, if somebody has anemia, you know they're either going to be deficient in iron or they're going to be deficient in B12 or folic acid. That's pretty obvious to any doctor. Of late, in the last 10 years, doctors are now taking vitamin D levels in blood as a part of a normal workup, and it's been something overlooked in medicine for nearly 50 years. It's very evident in the general population of the world today. Most everyone is deficient in vitamin D, period. And it doesn't even require until proven otherwise, because vitamin D does so many physiologic functions in the body. It's just quite evident. So there's direct, which means you actually look for markers in the blood, or there's indirect just by obvious things that are related to sugar metabolism, to cholesterol, to uric acid, and to the normal things you look up in a blood workup.
As we age, the body needs extra help with the vitamins, hence sometimes persons are told to take some supplements.
Yes. Well, I can basically, haven't been here on Nevis for so long and have a very large population of patients. I've seen for a fact that people who take a multivitamin tablet over the years generally will have less health complaints as they get older. It's just a general thing that I've watched. I'm sure you've seen it too, Agisha, that when they say they take a multivitamin tablet, they generally have better sugar profiles, they have less high blood pressure, their weight is better, they sleep better. There's just a general profile of what we see in that because, you know, in today's modern world with container shipping and foods and processing and long distances, it's better to take a multivitamin tablet than not, in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. Akisha, you wanted to add something?
No, I was just agreeing with Doc. But also the importance of iodine.
Yes.
Many persons are iodine deficient.
Globally, pandemic iodine deficiency, without question, it does. The iodine is sort of like the vitamin C. It's a trace mineral for sure. The minimum daily requirement is in micrograms, where in our school we say really it's in milligrams, because the stress factors of today, including radiation in the environment, the profile in your health is much better if you take a supplemental iodine than if you don't.
Now, if persons, this is the part that perhaps going to take a little debate. Not everybody is sold on natural medicines. If you were to make a case to persuade someone that, let's say, one of the ailments we just mentioned in terms of they being unable to sleep well, and sometimes they have traditional medicines for those, and you recommend different type. What case would you make? How would you persuade a person that if you're not sleeping well, this will help?
Well, if they're taking a medication to get to sleep, you would naturally think something's wrong, because all humans have to sleep. So if you're unable to get to sleep, something right from the get-go is wrong, and that's unnatural. Now, if they're taking a medication to force them to sleep because of something that has severely affected them or is affecting them, believe it or not, as a natural medicine doctor, I don't have issues with medications. They are sometimes required. I'm perfectly acceptable with that. But I would warn the patient that, the continued use of this is either going to lead to addiction or it's going to lead to breakdown at some point, because it is an unnatural medication, which means the liver and the kidneys are going to have to metabolize it, and there will be a buildup, there will be side effects, and that's on the label when you buy the medicine. So that would be my argument, that wouldn't you like to find something simpler, like a cup of chamomile tea or a little melatonin would actually help to get you to sleep so that you don't have the untoward side effects. But in the meantime, if it's affecting you severely and you have to sleep because of job stress or what have you, maybe we can find a way for you to take less so that you don't become addicted, and assist you for weaning yourself off of it, because even I'm sure your medical doctor would agree this is something you can't take the rest of your life.
It is safe to say that the lack of sleep, the stress is a highly contributory factor.
Yes, there will be neurological, then ultimately endocrine imbalances from lack of sleep.
Okay, so what else? What else we got? What are some of the things that people might be experiencing, which you would suggest that they can come and see you?
Well, I've been here for 35 years, and I think just about everything's walked in my door. So it's a wide variety of complaints, and I'll never proclaim I can fix everything. That would be absolutely stupid. But people come in for a lot of different types of conditions.
Okay, well, why don't we name some? Because, for instance, a person might be listening and they might be experiencing something which they probably didn't know. For instance, you heard me, open confession is good for the soul. You heard me at the beginning say that I'd learned that one way I'm going to test my stress level, I'm going to bend over and touch my toes and see what's going on there, for instance, right? Yes. So a person might be experiencing something. You have a lot of experience. A lot of persons have walked in your office and stuff like that. So give us some examples of what things people might be experiencing, maybe getting overstressed over it, when a simple visit to you can explain what it is, and it can be a quick fix.
Yes. Well, there's tremor, there's headache, there's tachycardia, there's anxiety or feeling like you're stopping breathing or your heart stops in your chest. Those are quite common complaints. Subtle backache that starts out as a discomfort and then in time becomes quite painful because the disc in the spine starts shrinking. Or another common complaint is a lot of belly aches, pains in the abdomen that are kind of unexplained. I get that all the time from people. They have a twitch here, or they think it's gas, or there's some type of pain located in their abdomen. They've been to their doctor. They've had an ultrasound. Nobody can find anything. Well, we'll find it. We know probably exactly what it is. Once we take the symptomatology, we look in the blood, and we can determine it's in the bowels. Mm-hmm. Also, heartburn, reflux esophagitis, that's very common these days. Dripping sinus, stuffy nose, coughing and sneezing with dust. All of these common allergens, that's very common to see. Food allergies, people that eat certain things gets them upset. They don't know, because it's a delayed allergy, the symptoms don't arise for many hours, maybe not even until the next day, that they have some discomfort in their abdomen, or they get headache, or these types of complaints.
Do you find there's a high incidence in the population of sinus issues where, for instance, in my case, I can tell when the Saharan dust is plentiful without reading the weather?
Yes, it's a very common complaint, and believe it or not, the sinus issues, if you've reached the point to where you're allergic to the air that you breathe, you can bet your bottom dollar that there's a dysbacteria going on in the intestines that has been there for some time, weakening the immune system to the point that now the air is affecting you, just not the foods that you're eating.
So do we find a lot of incidences of that, where people in the population have sinus issues?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And some folks will tell you, for instance, when they're cutting the grass, they have issues. So things like that, people can come and see you about?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I get it all the time.
Okay, so we getting towards, got a few more minutes. So Chris, you'd like to add anything at this point?
Also, the the food we eat in terms of allergens, as Doc mentioned earlier. Sometimes we have patients that walks in, they're suffering, especially the ladies. We find a lot of ladies with problems with their ovaries. They're not menstruating every month. They have trouble. It's either too light or it's too heavy. And sometimes it's the food that they're eating. Sometimes it's the chicken. When we run the allergy tests, it's just simple as stop eating chicken and a clean out, and they're all better.
Keisha, you would like to, any final thoughts?
I would like everyone to come and get a checkup at the Jade Clinic. It is a very personal setting. It's comfortable, and one of the key components is that we don't have any big needles when we draw the blood. It's just a pick of blood from your finger where we get to know the blood glucose, cholesterol, hemoglobin, uric acid, and so forth. Also, I think many persons would appreciate seeing what is in the blood. They can see the micro parasite actually wiggling and see the normal, healthy way in which the red blood cell is supposed to shape. I think they can appreciate that because it's a coming to realization moment. You know, there's a saying, well, once I see something like that, I want to change the way I go about my day-to-day, my lifestyle, because many of us are getting too sick. We're getting cancers. People are getting heart attacks. And at Jade, we try to find what the problem is. We give you things to treat it. And then you can come back up for a follow-up in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We help you to change your diet. There's so many things that we offer in a place of peace, and where we believe in God, because God heals all things, and we pray for you. It's a real personalized, comfortable setting where I really encourage others to come and visit. You would definitely not believe what you see, but then because of what you see, you will believe.
Very well said.
Very well said. Maybe I could use that for the quotation of the day tomorrow. Okay, Doc, your final words.
Well, we have added blood microscopy to the clinic some years ago, and it's probably the most underrated yet most fascinating aspect of medicine today is this issue of parasites. And when we say parasites, we don't mean just worms in the belly. There's a whole spectrum of microparasites, which includes bacteria, because that too is a parasite. That's rumbling and rolling around everybody's body because it's part of nature. I mean, it's every animal in the kingdom is parasitized. There's books on this whole subject in biology. It's just it hasn't transferred itself to the medical field, unfortunately, of any sort. But we have found it's been dramatically helpful for people to see their own blood, their red blood cells, their white blood cells, and anything in between, because, you know, blood medicine teaches the blood should be sterile. Well, that's an ideal concept, but in living fact, it just never happens. There is no blood that's actually sterile. We're swimming in bacteria and parasites all the time, and when the pathogenic ones become chronic, it dramatically affects the health.
We thank you very much. We
appreciate it.
we here have learned something. Let's hope the folks in the audience learn something, and then I think I'm going to say like Akeisha. I know we got results. Start to get results, right? Thank you again. We'll hope to see you soon, and we'll be getting into our second segment right after this.
Ready to save value build? Now you can at Builders Paradise. Yes, shoppers, build up your Value Club points at Builders Paradise. That's right, Value Club members and shoppers, your favorite frequent buyer club is now available at the home of hardware and more. Whether you're laying tiles, painting walls, replacing doors, upgrading windows, or fixing up your home, every purchase at Builders Paradise now earns you Value Club points. Enjoy exclusive benefits like discounts on thousands of items, special savings for seniors, instant deals, quarterly rebates, plus an extra up to 2% off every quarter. Shop more, save more, and more only at Builders Paradise. Don't miss out. Start building your rewards today with Value Club at Builders Paradise, because every bolt, board, and brush brings you closer to bigger, better savings. Terms and conditions apply.
Back with our second segment, Thought That Get Results. Our first segment featured a health segment, and we're looking at natural medicines. So if you missed any of it, you can also go back. When we're done, you can go back and listen to the beginning. The second segment, Health Matters again, and we'll be talking with someone on mental health. And just by accident, I scheduled the first segment that way, and it will fit well into the mental health segment that we're dealing with now. Mr. Coffey, it's always good to have you here.
Always a pleasure. Good evening, sir.
And this is, what is it, Mental Health Week or mental health?
You have it correct. Mental Health Week.
Mental Health Week.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me just get this thing sorted out. Let me just get it sorted out. Give me a second.
Sure.
Okay, I don't seem to have gotten, but just give me a second. Just give me another second. I'll get it.
You're listening to Vaughn Radio from the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis.
See, I got the necessary help and I got it sorted out. So, Mr. Coffee, once again, good evening, and it's good to have you here.
Good evening, sir, and good evening to our listening audience, both here and abroad. It's a pleasure.
And this is Mental Health Week.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, let's do the background, notwithstanding that I know who you are.
Right.
I know what you do.
Right.
Not everybody knows. So let's do that.
Okay, so I'm Macmillan Coffee. I am a mental health counselor and the supervisor at the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center here on Nevis. For those who don't know, the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, it used to be the mental health services here under Ministry of Health. We've done some name change and so on, change our address. We are in the Prospect area, so that we could create a more kind of comfortable family kind of atmosphere for persons, so when they come in they feel more comfortable, dealing with their concerns. So yes, that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, and let's look at the Mental Health Week. We will zero in on a few areas in a bit, but you're having Mental Health Week, and we know that you normally have a number of activities to highlight. So let's do that now.
Absolutely. So we started our week of activities on Sunday with a church service at the United Pentecostal Church, that's in Marion Heights. And then yesterday we had what we refer to as the Educational and Developmental Day at the Bar Village Community Grounds. That was from 10 to 2 for our clients. And then today we had a community appreciation award honoring some key stakeholders, persons who have been very supportive of our work, and we really focused this year on the corporate citizens this year. So this morning we had 3 awardees receiving awards, and then we had a health screening at the Cotton Ginnery Mall, and that was sponsored by the Bank of Nevis. We want to thank them for that, and also the Taiwan ICDF. So we want to thank the entities for making that happen. That was very successful, I must say. Sir, I must say I remembered you while we were doing the screening today, because I remember last year when we were here, we spoke about the stress, screening for stress, and I remember some persons called you and were very interested in having their stress levels checked. So we had that today. That went well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it went well.
What did we find generally?
Well, yeah, we had, for the most part, I must say that I was pleased for the most part, because person seems to be doing what they ought to be doing in terms of their health, good health. Like, they're very conscious in terms of their exercise and they're eating everything. Because yes, we have some concerns with a few persons, but not the majority. Right.
Okay, what? Go ahead with
Yeah.
the.
And then, so tomorrow we are having a community and family health forum, and the purpose of that really is to bring families together, families of persons who are living with mental health conditions. And this is a new addition, and that was, I must say that that was born out of frustration. But sometimes, frustration pushes us in the right direction. I must give kudos to all of my nurses on staff that really brought up the idea, which is an excellent idea. Too often we find that families and other persons do not really support their loved ones sufficiently. And what we come to realize that where we have good family support, we have persons doing much better, in terms of their, not just mental health, but, their holistic health. And so we want to do that tomorrow, to have a frank and really candid discussion with our families of persons living with mental health conditions tomorrow. So that's our highlight tomorrow, Wednesday. On Thursday, we have our usual mental health workshop, and the focus is community, destigmatization, and the role of local businesses in facilitating mental health access. And again, we felt that was very important because we want to see how we can partner with corporate Nevis, how the businesses can help us to improve access in the workplace. Let's face it, most of us spend maybe the majority or good portion of our day, more than 8 hours in the workplace. And there are a lot of persons who go to work, they're functional, but they struggle, whether it's with anxiety, maybe some depression, maybe some mood disorders, maybe some financial issues, maybe some relationship issue. Just name it, the list goes on. But they're functional. But the question is, what can we do to make the workplace a healthier place for persons to to thrive and to be productive? It's a win-win situation. If we have healthier persons in the workplace, then we expect productivity to increase. All right, so we have that on Thursday. On Friday, we have that's time for the staff to really decompress and just de-stress. That's our time to take care of ourselves. Wholly wrong with look at others. We have to make time for ourselves. And so we open half day, and that I would like the public to really take note of that. We'll be open from 8 to 12 on Friday, and then the staff will retreat into their own space to just relax a bit and just chill. All right, and on Saturday we'll bring down the curtains with a walk, our usual annual walk, and that is always from the Malcolm Gishard Park. That starts at the registration, the warm-up actually starts at 5:15, and the walk starts at 5:30 a.m. And we leave the Malcolm Gishard Park onto Penny's Main Road, up onto the Bypass Road, onto Pump Road, to the roundabout, onto Hunkins Drive, down into Main Street, along the Bayfront, back to Penny's, back to Malcolm Gishard. So we just make that loop. And yes, there will be some prizes for the person. It's a walk, it's not a run, it's a walk. So the person who finishes first walking will get that prize, and we'll have also a prize for the first senior person, most senior person who finishes, and the most junior person. So that's basically our week of activities, sir.
Okay, so let's now go into you talked about the one event where folks were able to take their stress levels. So well, if you have anything else, let's do that first, because I want to get into some discussions on the earlier segment.
Okay, so let me just highlight two things. One, as you know, every morning, I just want the listening public to know that we have the health tips. All right, that's about 7:30. Okay, so we just please asking you to tune in. And then the health tips are in keeping with our mental health theme for 2025, which is access to services, mental health in catastrophes and emergencies. All right, so all the health tips this week will be focusing on that theme. This year we chose to have two focus. Yes, mental health in disasters and catastrophes or in emergencies, but also the community aspect, because we think that is just so important when it comes to destigmatizing mental health, which is one of our big pillar projects. Yes, sir.
So let us look at also where you are located and how and why people can come to your for what services, etc., that you offer.
Okay, so we are located on Cedar Grove in Prospect. All right, so for persons there is who are familiar with the Prospect area where the Nevlec power station is and the agricultural offices and agricultural station. You come up that road. When you reach to the top, there's a big sign saying the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center with arrows pointing to the left. So those persons who are familiar with the area, I mean, when you reach up there, there's a fork where you go up to the government garage and then you turn left up to Prospect. When you reach the brow of that hill, there's a crossroad. You come straight on to Cedar's Grove, and then straight ahead there is this green building which used to be the community center in Prospect some time ago. All right, so this building is now the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. Okay, what do we do? Anything that pertains to mental health, we provide counseling, talk therapy. We provide every day. We go out in the community and we see some of our clients and ensure that they get their medication. So we run a very robust community program every day, Monday to Friday. We are out on the streets. On Monday we also have what we refer to our occupational therapy program from 1:30 to 3, where we have persons come in and we have a little greenhouse at the back where we grow little seedlings and take care of them. And when they're good for harvest, the clients enjoy whatever fruits of their labor. So that's part of our program. We have other skills that we do, baking. We do some cognitive skills exercises with them, especially older folks. From research shows that the more we can keep the brain stimulated is the more we can keep those neurons alive, and so to keep them more focused and help with concentration and so on, and reduce illnesses and conditions such as dementia and Alzheimer's. So we do a lot of that on a Monday afternoon. On Wednesdays we have doctor's consultation. We have the psychiatrist who comes up on a Wednesday, every Wednesday, to have consultations with clients. If we have anybody admitted at the hospital, yes, the doctor will see the person. On Tuesdays, before we speak on Wednesdays, on Tuesdays we actually go out around the community, and if persons again due for any kind of medication and so, whether it's IM or orals, we take care of that, ensure that people are up to date with their regimen as prescribed by the doctor. Okay, as I said, Wednesdays the consultations. On Thursdays, the same thing continues in terms of meeting clients wherever they are and making sure that they get their medication. There are some clients that we also reach out to and we take care of the hygiene. We bring them up to the office, where they get a bath. We have washing facilities where we wash their clothes, give them, put clean clothes. If they need to be groomed, cut their hair, shave, cut their nails, whatever needs to be done, we do that. That's on a Thursday. And on Friday, the work continues, going out there and dispensing medication. So basically, in a nutshell, that's what we are, that's what we do.
Okay, so having taken care of those, I wanted to go to a couple of things in the earlier section, because I know over the years when you've been here and we having the discussions and stuff like that, and you would mention like some of the symptoms or issues that people may have which could lead to breakdown in the mental health. And one of them was obviously the stress levels, and you had mentioned earlier that last time you were here, when we learned about you can measure it and stuff like that, and we got some results out of that, because as you said, people were excited about being able to do it. In the earlier segment, we also learned that if a person's sleep pattern or a person is sleep deprived, then that can begin to cause some other issues if it's not treated. So expound on that a little more for us.
That can go both ways. If somebody's stress level is too high, it can affect their sleep pattern. And you're absolutely correct. If someone is sleep deprived, then it can lead to other health problems. So let's talk about the first part, where stress levels are too high. There are different stressors. There are a lot of things that can stress us. Just name it. Countless things. What we notice is that when person levels, stress levels are too high and they are not relaxed, because they are stressed. Let's say somebody is stressed out about a relationship issue. It's acting on their mind. It means that their body may be physically tired, but their mind is racing. And because their thoughts are racing, it does not relax sufficiently to allow that person to get restful sleep. First, they're going to have difficulty falling asleep. If they fall asleep, they may get up prematurely. And they get up prematurely, they may have difficulty falling back asleep. So by the time a person get up, they may just get about, sometimes 3 hours sleep, maybe less, and get up feeling more tired than they went to bed. So stress can definitely, too much stress, I should say, can certainly affect person's quality of sleep. People tend to use stress always, most times in a negative way. A certain level of stress is good. A certain level of anxiety is good. For me to be here tonight, to deliver and engage with you, and to speak to our audience, I need an optimal level of anxiety to keep me sufficiently focused so I can perform at my optimal. However, if that anxiety or stress level is too high, then it can affect the quality of my being here tonight. And so it's the same thing with our sleep. If we are too stressed, if our anxiety levels are too high, it can affect the way we sleep. Now, we always tell our clients that if you go on about 3 days straight, which is about 72 hours without sleep, trust me, you will see and notice a difference in the way your body and your mind functions. Your concentration level, your focus, your attention is not going to be what it used to be. Certainly. All right. And then all kind of things are going to happen. You're going to start coming with all kind of ailments, complain about a lot of things. And sometimes when you look at it, it goes right back to your question. Sleep patterns, quality of sleep, stress levels, and anxiety, and how all of that comes together and affects the balance all right, of you, what we call the homeostasis, how balanced we are as a person, how we function, you know, how productive we are, and all of that.
The other, the stresses and so on also, we learn in the first segment, a natural phenomenon of life. And I asked the question whether or not a positive attitude can help. In your work, do you deal with that area, and what would you advise in terms of your positive attitude?
It goes a long way, you know, and you're right. I think the previous presenter, he spoke about the glass being half full and half empty. He's absolutely correct, and that speaks to our attitude to life. In every situation, do you see the glass as half full or half empty? If you see the glass as always as being half empty, then it means that you have a negative outlook on life. If you see that glass and you see the glass as half full, it speaks to your outlook on life. And there's a pattern, and research shows it, that persons who have a more positive outlook, these persons, they are usually more resilient. They usually have better coping skills, and you know, while they recognize that there might be a situation that might be stressful, but they will always feel of what can I do to improve my situation. You can either take that attitude, or you could have that learned helplessness attitude where, well, that's how it is. And a lot of people like to say that, well, it's so it is. No, that's not necessarily true. It's not so it is. You know, it can be changed. But if you convince yourself then that's so it is, then you're really not opening up yourself to even try to make a difference in a positive direction. So persons with a positive attitude, generally they are more successful, and they have a better quality of life, and they try to make the best of whatever situation they're faced with.
The other thing in terms of helping persons to cope with the stresses, one of the things that we also learned in the preceding segment is non-traditional medicines. In the mental aspect, we talk about basically your thinking, your philosophy, right? Your mental well-being. We speak about that, the mental aspect of your health, that a lot of people don't pay particular attention to. What would be your advice in this regard?
Okay, so two things. Let's talk about the natural medicine. We're talking about herbs and so. I think all of us can relate to when we were younger, our parents or grandparents believed in their herbs. And I believe that it has its place. I believe natural medicine has its place. The presenter before me, clearly he's an expert in that field, so you know he will know much more. But what I'll say is that one of my concerns about the natural medicine, and again, if somebody wants to go that route, I think these are the kind of the expertise that they need to source, persons who know what they're about. But I find too often persons will come and tell me, oh, I use soursop leaves to sleep, or I use moringa, or I use what else? Just name it, you know. Okay. The question is, do you know exactly how many leaves that you should use to give you the perfect dose?
The dosage is always a problem.
Exactly. The dose that you need to to give you the effect that you're looking for. And so, yes, we know that there are some herbs that have medicinal properties, but I would say to people, if you're going down that path, please consult with somebody who is an expert in that field who can guide you in a professional manner. Don't just take a person and say, oh, I'll use 3 leaves or use 5 leaves. You can either overdose yourself, or you may take a certain amount that might not have the desired effect that you're looking for.
Because, you know, I had a personal experience, and I had a bush doctor, well, a natural medicine doctor. His name was Edric Stanley.
Okay. The late Edric Stanley,
late
of
Edric
course,
Stanley.
of course.
He is my political advisor, bush doctor. Everything. He even advised me on how to make money, but that didn't work. But anyway, so one day he came on the show and he realized that I was not 100%. Seemed to have had a cough or something. So he sent some bush for me the next day. And the desk that you see outside in the waiting area, that was filled with all types of bush. So I called him and I asked him, well, how to take them? He said, man, just take off a couple of each. Then is when I know I should keep away from him. He said, take off a couple of each. And
that's my point. That's exactly my point. Right? So that does not take away from the fact that the bush may very well have medicinal properties. But where we're concerned, you know, we cannot tell somebody that 3 leaves, 5 leaves of saucer bush will help you to sleep, because that is not our field. We never studied that. Our previous presenter, that's his expertise. So I would say consult with somebody who knows better to advise you on that road.
But it's been said though, and I'm no expert to say whether or not it is true. You're in a better position to speak to that. But a lot of the medicines that we use in terms of prescription medicines, some of them are derived from the bush.
Yes, true.
But the difference with that is they have it down to a science.
Exactly.
And they know what amount of each will do what.
Exactly, and that's my point. So I'm not opposed to it. It has its place. It's just that if you're going that route, seek professional advice.
Because Dr. McWilliams did say as well that he has no qualms with the other type of medicine either. So
right. There you go.
That was basically interesting. But then the other thing that I wanted to also focus on in terms of focusing on the services that you offer and how people can access.
Okay.
And you perhaps can mention some of the common things that occur that people might be experiencing and whereby it might be a good idea to check out your services early.
Okay. So access. In terms of access, people can they can walk in. We do a lot of walk-ins. You don't necessarily need an appointment to come to see a mental health counselor. You know, but you think you have a concern, something's not going right, you want to bounce off an idea, come in. We can't guarantee you that every time you come in, that we'll be able to see you right away. We may sometimes have to make an appointment, but there are times when you can walk in and you can get service, right away. Also, we get referrals. A lot of referrals come from different sources, from the hospital. We get even from the police, from the schools, from family members, and from the community. So access comes from different angles. Now, while we're talking about access, let me just put it out there in terms of numbers and contact information. People can always call in. Also, we have our mobile number, 660-9551. This is 660-9551. We have our straight line, which is 469-5614. 469-5614. And of course, you can go through the government operators. That is 469-5521, and our extension is 6816 or 6817. Okay, so if persons are coming in person, they can always call and make an appointment or speak to someone, and that can be arranged. That's in terms of access. I've already given the location where we are in Prospect. And then in terms of conditions, we see a lot of the mood disorders. We see a lot of anxiety, you know, for instance, depression at different levels, you know. Persons with marital relationship issues, you know, financial issues. We have the most serious psychopathologies such as the schizophrenia, the bipolar disorders, you know. So one of the things, and I don't know if you remember, but last year I think we spoke about it, substance use disorder. We've been seeing a lot, you know, a lot of that. I think we're seeing a different trend in terms of substance use disorders. In that, because of the introduction of synthetic drugs, you know, in our society, we're seeing some trends that are alarming, you know, among our young persons. I would say between the ages of 15 to 45, you know, which is really, these are productive years, you know. Persons are supposed to be in school, into university, in the workforce. We see a lot of persons, you know, presenting with issues of substance use disorder. Now, I'm seeing a different trend because, again, the synthetic marijuana. So, as you know, in the labs, you can manipulate the THC levels, for instance, in marijuana. Now you have the gummies and the brownies and all of that. You know, the THC in the synthetic marijuana generated in the lab, you can increase that THC level and it can cause a lot of problems.
So what you're saying there, you're still on what you're seeing?
That's correct. Yes.
Really?
Yes, that's correct. And so
so we have the marijuana,
right,
but which I don't even know what's the legalization of it, because this thing to me is so confusing.
Mm-hmm.
So to some degree we've legalized some of it, correct?
I would say, I probably not use the word legalize, I would maybe use the word to some senses, maybe decriminalize. Decriminalize in the sense that, you know, before that, once an officer see you for a spliff,
yes,
they could arrest you, right?
Okay.
Now I think they're saying that you are allowed a certain amount. You can be, if you are allowed of a certain amount, and maybe the police would be the best persons to speak to that.
Okay, but I say I don't want to get to the
Right.
the technical aspect of it. The point is
Yeah.
that 15 years ago, it was a no-no.
Period. Zero tolerance.
So we were not as comfortable in terms of access and consequently usage.
Right.
You agree with that?
I agree.
Okay. So 15 years on, we now have a little more, less,
More tolerance.
more tolerance.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then we're seeing now some of the things we didn't want to see. Correct? In terms of the usage and consequence of seeing more persons, as you say, in their productive years, having to deal with some of the issues from it.
So let me say that, because I will be very careful about that. I cannot tell you for sure that since we've moved in that direction.
Okay, so let's not put it there, because
Right.
see, I don't want to get in that argument either.
Right.
Whatever the reason is,
Okay.
right? Because you see, I sometimes reason like this. if someone brings you some sad news that one of your relatives has been killed, and that's the fact,
Yes.
then there is a strong argument next to you about whether it was a knife, a penknife, or a gun, or what. The only thing you hear at that point,
Your relative has been killed.
your relative has been killed. And they're arguing about whether it was a knife, a thing, and so
Right.
your concern is that.
My relative is dead.
So I don't want to get into the debate
Right, right.
of whether or not he was decriminalized,
That caused the
that
increase
caused it
or not. Right,
So let's stick on the fact
right, right.
that the increase is there
Yes, yes,
in
yes.
that's this period of time.
Right, because I believe that even before we move to that direction of decriminalizing it, where persons were allowed a certain portion for their personal use, that in the U.S. and in the other countries that these synthetic marijuana thing in the lab was going on already. The question is, was it making its way down to our shores? Maybe there's more of it making its way in our society, right? And that I can speak to. All right, that we are seeing more of that, where persons are using not only the natural marijuana. Before, guys used to talk about the natural herb, but no longer is just the natural herb. I'm hearing about synthetic marijuana now, and then not only am I seeing it, I have to be dealing with it, and where the as I said, the levels are manipulated to a point where it's causing serious mental health issues.
And when you get the issues as a consequence of this usage from the synthetic stuff, how difficult it is to, rather than cure, I'm going to use the word address. How difficult it is for you now to address these issues?
That's a very interesting question, and it's interesting because while there are measures that can be taken by the psychiatrists and the mental health team to address it, the question is, with the trends that we're seeing right now, we do not have the adequate infrastructure to deal with it, because it's one thing to treat, say, through pharmacological treatment or counseling and so, but as we know, when we deal with addiction, we now have to talk about rehabilitation. We don't really have rehabilitation here on the island or in the Federation, and so as this problem gets bigger, then we have to start thinking outside the box now. And I will not even call it outside the box really, actually, because rehabilitation centers really is right down the lane in treating addiction. And that's what we're talking about right now. Whether it's marijuana, whether it's cocaine, whether it's amphetamines, just name it. The point is, when we deal with addiction, we need more than just treating persons on an outpatient basis. Sometimes we need persons in rehabilitative care, which we don't have.
Do we know if it affects the brain?
Certainly.
Right, and so consequently it makes it more difficult for you to address, as opposed to, even as we were talking in the earlier section, a person, as you gave an example, maybe have some relationship issues, and now they come for some counseling, and that isn't a physical thing that has affected or altered the balance in their brain, so that's easier for you to deal with.
Right, because in a sense, yes. So I think the point you're trying to drive at is that these substances are what we refer to as psychoactive substances. Why psychoactive? It acts on the chemicals in the brain. Okay, the serotonin, the dopamine, or whatever. Okay, so like the THC in marijuana, it's a chemical. So when the THC combined with the serotonin, the dopamine in the brain, it destabilizes the balance in our brains. And so, or of course, if it's destabilized, our behavior will change, our moods will change, our emotions will change. Okay, and all of that all of these are tied in our thoughts, our emotions, our behaviors. All of them are drivers with each other, right? So yes, now, as opposed to the other example I used with the relationship, cause and effect kind of thing. Okay, this guy is doing this. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's lay it on the table. This is what's going on. Might be difficult for you to accept the breakup. Say, put it this way. But there's a more clear path because, and don't get me wrong, you know, I have known persons who may present with that same problem, say the relationship issue. But who knows, that person may have an underlying mental health issue that relationship may trigger and may cause some problems up there, because again, some hormones and chemicals can become unstable, right? Because of that person not eating, that person may not be sleeping. We spoke about sleep earlier on and what that can happen. So that can get worse than just a relationship breakup. Don't get me wrong. However, what we are seeing is that with the psychoactive substances, when this thing messes with our chemicals in our brain, then we're talking about a whole different story altogether.
If a person doesn't have or appear to have any issues or problems, just a normal, healthy person, physically and mentally, does it help, and would you advise nonetheless to, just like our person, it is recommended that you go to your family doctor maybe annually for a checkup? What do we call a checkup?
Yeah.
They will check certain things. We mentioned it in the earlier segment: cholesterol,
blood level, sugar levels.
Right. So on the mental aspects of things, a person doesn't have seemingly a problem. They sleep well. They exercise, and they don't seem to have any problems. Is it advisable yet still to do a mental check?
Of course. You know, I'll tell you, in my previous job, you know, that was with the Ross University. I'll tell you, the Americans, they love counseling. They love their talk therapy. I remember working at the school, and throughout the 5 semesters, 4 semesters, every week, clockwork, some students would just come, sit in my office just to have this rapport, this conversation, just the attempt to decompress, just get it out, just talk. And it's not necessarily that they have any issue per se, but they just believe in it. And you say that's the difference in our societies, you know, where it is so stigmatized here that you think coming to talk to Mr. Coffee, people think I'm mad, I'm crazy. I don't want to see talking to Mr. Coffee. These people, they look forward. Obviously, there's stigma everywhere, but you know, there's a different appreciation for mental health in these societies, and people don't feel like I have to be feeling really that something is wrong with me mentally to seek or speak to a mental health therapist. No, as you said, just how they would do a physical check, they just come in and just sit and just talk, and they feel like it's a time to just relax and just talk about anything and everything. Yeah, and they find it very rewarding.
Would you encourage, and is it helpful for even persons in a workplace situation? You have some businesses that might have 10, 15 employees and stuff like that. And maybe everybody in there is a mature person. notwithstanding there may be no counselors there, professionals, would you advise, and is it helpful that people just talk?
But that's an
Life
excellent.
matters.
That's an excellent question. I wish you had asked me that 10 minutes into the show. But that's an excellent question, and I tell you it's excellent because, you know, one of our focus this year, as I told you, is a really community, and the workshop we have in on Thursday is really targeting business places and how can we improve access to the workplace. You know, how can the business places work with us to improve mental health in the workplace. As I said earlier, it's a win-win situation. If you have a healthy workforce, you have better productivity. All right. If you have a workforce that is sick, always out on sick leave, calling out, and so it affects the productivity of your business. And a healthy workplace is what we are encouraging. And this is the purpose of the workshop on Thursday. You know, what can be done? What can employers do? What services can they provide? What facilities can they provide to improve their employees' mental health? Recognizing that with a healthy workforce, you have a better guarantee of higher productivity. And the answer to your question in one word is yes, an absolute resounding yes.
But we don't seem to do that, right?
Well, I'll tell you something. I must admit that there are a few organizations here, workplaces that number. We, as I told you, we awarded 3 business places today. I'm telling you, I give commendation to them. You know that what they're doing is really good in terms of awareness of mental health in the workplace. You know, they have some mental health programs. They encourage exercise and healthy, just healthy habits, including, as I say, exercise. And I know a certain entity that brings in a coach to work, you know, do some aerobics and other stuff with their clients, with their employees. So I believe more though employers should take a leaf from their book, and we would like to see more of that on a wider scale, where employers show more appreciation and work with the employees to be healthy, not just mentally but physically, recognizing that is a win-win situation. A healthy staff, a healthy workforce generates a more productive workplace.
How much that has to do with, if you will, our culture? When we were talking about the idea of encouraging healthy conversation, and might I also use the term healthy debate. In terms of our culture and the way we operate in the island and across the islands, we had the debate though, we cuss.
Can you just repeat that, please? About the debate?
Right. I was saying that in the islands,
Yes.
in this island and across the islands, in terms of our culture, how the society operates at large, you had mentioned how healthy and helpful it is if in the workplace and other places we are able to converse and talk and debate. But we don't debate. We curse one another. And so how helpful or harmful is that?
I don't know what is helpful. I can't say that. I cannot say that's been helpful. I think really and truly that conversation is a very good one, and I think it's something that we should encourage. You know, we certainly should encourage it, where we have these healthy debates, you know, and I think part of what we do in like on Thursday, where we have the workshop with our corporate citizens, this is the kind of conversations we want to have, where you know they are going to partner with us to help us to come up with, like, think outside the box. What can we do as employers to improve access to mental health in the workplace? We don't have all the answers. We cannot do it alone. Government cannot do it alone. How can the corporate citizens come together and work with us? Because, as I said earlier on, the majority of us as adults spend the majority of our time of the day, like 8 hours, at work. Yeah. If we are not healthy, if mentally or physically, it means that your business is suffering. Period. Talking about harmful and helpful, it can't be helpful for your business. You're losing money. It's costly for you. So, if you join with us to brainstorm together, to have that healthy debate and discussions and conversations, then how can we come together as a community to improve the mental health of our people, your greatest asset, so that you can benefit from a healthy workforce, and by extension, NIVIS, the Federation, will benefit because there'll be more productivity. And where you have more productivity, you have more economic activity, and it's just good for everybody. So yes, that's the way we should go.
But the culture of the islands and is not an impediment.
It's very much so, and I mean that's the other segment of your question, and I think what you're really talking about to is the stigma that is attached to mental health, and as I would say earlier on, as I said earlier on in the conversation, I spoke about stigma. You heard me speaking about community, you know, partnership and so, but we are on this robust destigmatization drive because our society, we as a people, we shy away from mental health. We believe that to go speak to a mental health counselor, people think I'm crazy, I'm mad. What will people say about me? We are more concerned about what people say about us than seeking the help that we need for our own good, you know. And I remember we had a conversation about maybe 2 years ago, I think. I don't even remember the one about gossip. And we had a big conversation about it. You remember about gossip and the society?
Well, you might have called it gossip, but I probably called it looking news.
Well, that's how you call it, looking news. But it's the same thing we're talking about.
Yeah.
So you know what? So people look in news, right?
Yeah.
And so because we know that people like to look news, we are afraid that they see us walking into the gates in Prospect, in that green building. Because once you enter there, oh, something wrong with him, something wrong with her. You know? And I'm telling you, that stigma of mental health is literally killing people. Because people are not seeking help that they need. They need the help, but they just won't come in because they are afraid of what people will say. Because yes, people look in news, you know, and when you live in a small society like Nivis with what, 15,000, maybe less, where everyone know everybody, then it does not make it easier. You know, it just added that layer of complexity and challenge in the work that we do. The work that we do is very challenging. I would have just, I spoke to you earlier on about my previous employment, where people look forward to come in to speak to a mental health counselor, where our society now is the opposite. So, you know, we have big problems. We have a lot of issues in our society, but we have the stigma, which is like a curse, you know, where people will just literally avoid seeking the help that they need.
We got a few minutes left, Coffee. Let's go over those week of activities again.
Sure.
And also, more importantly, tell folks how they can access your services.
Absolutely. So, okay, let me just take it from where we are at this stage of the week. Today is Tuesday, so tomorrow, Wednesday, we have the Community and Family Health Forum. This is at the Gender Affairs Conference Room on Government Road. Okay, and that starts from 9 and it goes on to 12, 9 to 12 tomorrow. And these are for it's open to the public really. But we are targeting persons who have loved ones who are suffering from mental health conditions. So we are asking the families to come in. Let's have a frank and candid discussion, in terms of what can you do to help us to keep your loved ones healthy and enjoy good mental health. And then on Thursday, we have this workshop that I've been speaking about for the whole night, and the focus here is on our corporate citizens, and the theme of our workshop is community, destigmatization, and the role of local businesses in facilitating mental health access. And that will be held at the Disaster Management Department from 8:30 to 12. And that's a closed forum for special and invited persons in the public. And then on Friday, the staff will retreat, and where we just decompress and de-stress and take care of our own mental health ourselves. On Saturday, I'm encouraging the entire public, the whole of Nevis, to come out. Come out at 5:15 in the morning on Saturday morning at the Malcolm Gishard Park, where we'll start with the warm-up exercises, and then we start the walk 5:30 sharp. I gave the route earlier. We said we would leave the Malcolm Gishard Park, and then we go on to Pinny's Main Road, onto the Bypass Road, come down to Pump Road, to the roundabout, down to Honkins Drive, onto Main Street, along the Bayfront, back to Pinny's, and we'll end back up where we started at the Malcolm Gishard Recreation Park. And this will bring down the curtains on the week of activities for 2025. And in terms of access, again, I'll give you the numbers. You can reach us. Again, we are located in Prospect on Cedar Grove. But in terms of numbers, you can reach us at 469-5614, 469-5614, 660-9551. That is 660-9551. Or you could reach us through the government operators at 469-5521, extension 6816 or 6817. Okay, feel free to call us. The services are free. Some people ask the question, how much do they have to pay? No, it is free. That's why we are government employees. Government pay us to provide that service for you. Take advantage of it. Thank you very much.
That's our second segment. That's the last word. This program repeats 10 o'clock tomorrow morning following the VON News Minute. Join the Honorable Mark Brantley tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock for On the Mark. Join Keith Scarborough on Thursday evening at 8 o'clock for Government at Work, a place that you can spend all of your evenings right here on the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse. Thank you all again for joining us. Your voice in the community, thought that get results. You all have a wonderful evening.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertiser. With all the power from the tower, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.